It all started now. This day's a turning point in my life. The day I begin living my life from the inside out. And I am transformed. I am transformed.
Hi everyone, my name is Mirkovich and I'm your host for Family Today. This show is for everyone. It's for parents, grandparents, and young adults. How many of you want to boost your immune system? And how many of you want to speak to a healer, an Ayurveda healer? Here with me I have a guest that's going to speak about that. And we are living in interesting times, so you want to stay tuned. Thank you. And my guest here is Theo Tilton, who's also a life coach, master class life coach. And then Nidhi Pandya, who will be talking about Ayurveda, medicine, lifestyles, and so on. Thank you for joining us, and welcome. Welcome to Family Today. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
So, hi. So, would you like to talk about how you started with Ayurvedic healing and?
Right, absolutely. So, Maria, I was actually born into a family where my grandfather was an Ayurvedic practitioner. So, to be honest with you, that's the only way I knew how to live. I thought Ayurveda was how that's the only way you live. And then I moved to the US about 15 years ago. And I worked a little bit, I did some marketing for a pharmaceutical company. That's when I realized how different the system was. And what a big gap there was in when you start healing the body from within versus putting band-aids on your symptoms. That's when, even though I grew up, I was indoctrinated into Ayurveda at birth, that's when I went and got a formal education, studying directly from the Vedas, which are the most ancient texts out there. And luckily, because I had this understanding of the modern living, I could connect the two. So that's how my official journey here in the West started with Ayurveda.
So you really were born for it.
I was born. I believe I've been doing it for lifetimes, to be honest with you.
What do you think, Theo?
I agree, 100%. It was like your origination point, right? So it's something that is just part of your whole being. You're born into it. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's how I feel.
But you also teach about health areas in your teachings.
Absolutely.
Yes, and what can you say about that? I mean, I don't know if I even introduced you correctly. You are life
mastery consultant.
Thank you.
And dream builder life coach.
Yes, I wanted to say that. Yes, a dream builder.
And
that's very interesting.
I had a 25-year career as a software engineer, and I decided I need to get out of corporate America. So I designed it. And by the past 2 years, I've become going into coaching, and now I do personal coaching, group coaching, team coaching, corporate coaching. So it's a full gamut.
So you did some coaching yesterday. You did a lecture, I believe.
Yeah, I did a workshop in Caldwell, New Jersey. It's called the Vision Workshop, and where people get to create a life that they truly love to live. They start with a vision for their life.
And dreaming your life.
And you dream it up, and then, as you declare something, it actually starts to happen in your life.
And you have to believe it. I know as I life coach people into it, and I say life is but a dream. You have to dream it. You have to think of it and dream it, like a little baby or a little toddler, I would say. Because when you're a toddler, you do fantasize about, oh, here's the family, this doll is the husband, the wife, and the child, and you talk to them, and then you start fantasizing about your life. When I was a little child, I used to fantasize about going to Italy, and it came about. And it was so much easier. It is a lot more easier when you're a child, I would think. So this brings me to a question of your Ayurvedic practice, I would say. Is that the correct way of saying it?
You can say
practice, and you're a healer.
Yes.
Tell me more about that.
So, one thing, Maria, that I'd like to clarify with people think that Ayurveda is just about treating diseases. And the beauty about Ayurveda is actually that what Ayurveda is, it states that true health comes from a balanced mind, a body where the internal climate, there's a climate that you can understand and balance, proper digestion, good elimination, and most importantly, the ability to use your senses in the right way. But not only that, it provides for how you can achieve this state. And it doesn't and it's not through prescriptions. It's not through, hey, if you eat this, you will get this. It's through principles. So which means that Ayurveda is for everybody, anywhere in the world. It's a principle, and it's a mixture of all of this, an integration of these beautiful things. And when you're able to really put it into practice, you're able to really achieve, or at least get as close to that state of balance, which is not only mind, which is not only body, which is amazing. And when that happens, the access to your inner self, the access to your inner being, you know, the one that allows you to manifest, you really understand the connection between that inner being and the universe and the consciousness of the universe. You just feel it.
How does it start? I mean, for you, it was you were born into it.
Right.
So it was like an automatic,
right.
I would say. But how does it start? Let's say I start practicing Ayurveda,
right.
which I have a little bit of education on.
Right.
But how do you start for the people out there that want to start this healing journey
right.
in Ayurveda? How would you start? Let's
right.
say you don't know nothing about it.
Right. So a lot of people are already practicing certain practices like intermittent fasting, oil pulling, tongue scrubbing, neti pot. All of this comes from Ayurveda. But that's not how I think you should start Ayurveda. The way you should, I think anybody could start practicing Ayurveda is first understanding the climate of their body. So Ayurveda states, right, your basic climate of your body should be tropical. Right, like Florida in the month of November, right? Often what happens, we become Arizona because now we've dried ourselves up, or we become Alaska because we become so cold and frigid inside. So really, working with a practitioner, reading the right books, but I think working with a good practitioner to understand
like
what
yourself.
has happened to the climate inside. It's literally, we're worrying so much about the whole climatic change on the planet. Let's talk about the inner climate. It literally is a climate. You know that your plants cannot grow with excess sunlight or less water.
That makes a lot of sense.
That's how, doesn't matter what you eat. It's not what you eat, it's what you digest. You're just fixing the climatic conditions. And your thoughts, as well as what you consume orally, everything goes into that climatic condition. And it's explained beautifully, Maria. Like every thought has a corresponding property and action in your body. Can I give you an example for that? I think it's profound.
Give us an example.
So people with chronic,
definitely.
People with chronic anxiety, right? So anxiety is a dry emotion.
Oh my God, so many people, so many families are definitely saying that they have a lot of anxiety in their lives.
Anxiety, and you know what it does?
The children in school,
Yeah.
Little children,
Absolutely. And what anxiety does, it leaves you dry. It dries out the soft myelin sheet on your nerves. It dries out your gut. It dries out the mucus lining in your lungs. And if you see, anxiety is usually followed, that's the reason why, by gut issues, because your gut, which is tropical, has now become like a desert.
Dry. Yeah,
So
like
it's
a desert.
Yeah, it's like a desert, right? As well as the nerves, which are nicely coated with this gel-like substance called the myelin sheath, which allows your nervous impulses to slow down so you can sleep. Now, that's just dry.
So a person is dry. Let's say it's dry.
Yeah.
In that state.
Chronic anxiety, right?
Yes.
Right.
How do they start? What is the first step towards
That's
healing?
a great question. So if you experience dryness, and it's usually overall, it's usually anxiety, lack of sleep, dry skin, dry gut, the first thing you would start is by eating warm, nourishing foods with good fats. How are you going with something that's dry needs something that's moist. So you balance it with the opposing property.
So probably something like coconut or cucumbers.
Avocados, sweet potatoes, olive oil,
Potatoes, yes.
Almonds.
I do navigate a lot with the olive oil.
Yes.
I was brought up in Italy, so.
Of course,
And
lucky
cooked
you.
food. I really believe in cooked food. I digest
Number
better.
one principle. And it's very
Cooked
simple.
food.
It's very simple. We are warm-blooded. Your body is a warm place. And your body does everything it can to maintain homeostasis, which is a state maintaining what exists inside, that balance. When you're going to put cold foods inside, I mean, your body has to adjust to that temperature. You have to pump extra enzymes. That whole journey from the food to your elimination becomes much longer. It takes a lot of energy. Cooked foods are already warm. They've started their disintegration. Much more easier to digest.
So that makes a lot of sense for me, I think, for a lot of people out there. And then, okay, so what about exercising? Yoga, you would recommend that, I believe.
So you know what? That's the beauty again about Ayurveda. It's just amazing. It has place for everything. So I would not always recommend yoga, right? So I mean, I think yoga is amazing, and I think everybody should do it. But you know what, Maria, you'll always find people who are like, I can't practice yoga. It's not for me. I have to bring them to that point. So you can start with whatever works for you. You know, you can start with Zumba. You can start with something else. So the only thing that I say,
I like spinning.
Spinning,
right? So the only thing that I'd say is honor your joints. Your joints are like the hinges of a door, right? Right? Like that's how your joints.
Yes,
if you're
I see it.
banging and pushing and pulling the door all the time, your hinges are going to go weak. So you got to keep your hinges lubricated. You keep your joints lubricated.
But people say, oh, because that person is grown old, that's why. But that's not why, because a lot of people are complaining about the same thing. Their joints hurt.
Their joints hurt.
Right? So it's not only for the elderly.
It's not only for the elderly. I mean,
No.
definitely, you know, your synovial fluids does get depleted as you get older.
Sure, of course.
But, you know, even by that intense use, I mean, you're pumping your joints with those intense, heavy workouts,
Yeah,
Maria.
yeah.
So I would say that if you eat right to replenish your joints and you watch out on that, you know, it can be helped. So exercise is also, you know, called vyayam in Sanskrit. And it's amazing, Maria, back then, they explained beautifully how much exercise, who should do, at what time they should do, what diet should be followed. So Ayurveda has answers to everything, from what profession you should choose based on your body type, to how you should sleep, to the partner you should have in your life.
Oh, for sure. That's
telling you,
the
it's
one
amazing.
that I recommend the most. If you have a toxic partner, you're done. I mean, you know, what do you think, Theo?
Absolutely, yeah. And you know, as a coach, that's that's a prevailing topic. Relationship.
Yes.
You know, it either comes down to one of four things. You know, the freedom, relationships, or health. You know, freedom is also big, but
that
relationship
also,
is
what she
second.
named, I think you mentioned anxiety. That, I mean, if you have a toxic partner, that could create a lot of anxiety in your life. Like, you know, checking up on him, right? Or her.
Yeah.
What do you
You're changing yourself, creating self-anxiety, right? You change yourself. You think you need to change yourself to appease somebody else.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That happens a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
And it goes for the worse.
Yeah.
Because you go against yourself, and then that person takes you more for granted, I think.
Yeah.
If you change for that person, they will see it, they will sense it. So, but go ahead.
But I'm interested in what, you know.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I agree with that, but I think one of the realizations, and it's not just from Ayurveda, I think it's more of a concept, right? That when you're in a relationship that is seeming unright to you, I think that's only a product of not knowing your core self. So I think,
The authentic self.
yeah, once the self-work begins, that why am I hooked on to this? This is a trigger that I'm hooked on to. And once, right, so this is how I work with my clients. I'm like, once you know who you are, right, every day, peel off one layer of yourself, even if it's little, then eventually you'll know what belongs to you. And the way I say this is, if you're size 2 and you're wearing size 10 pants, there's going to be struggle every day. You're going to be padding and you're going to be putting a belt and you're just going to be, but the minute you know you're size 2, you will wear size 2 pants. So I think that difference that we make, we don't understand
So kind
who
of
we are.
Self-acceptance.
Self-understanding, you know?
Understanding and acceptance.
Yeah. It's like once you know
It's like
who you
Socrates, right? Know thyself.
are. Know thyself
Know
is the
thyself.
answer.
Yeah.
I think that's what Ayurveda is about. I think that's what psychology today is about. That's what Nirvana is about.
Nirvana. What does that mean, Nirvana? I know, you know, the band Nirvana and you know how that went. Kurt Cobain, right?
Yeah.
So what does that mean exactly?
So Nirvana, I mean, loosely it can be translated to enlightenment.
Oh, okay.
But-
That's what I thought, but I wanted to confirm with the expert.
No, I think there's different perspectives on this too, right? But basically, Nirvana is a state where you have gotten the access to your subconscious mind so deep. So basically, your whole consciousness is connected with the universal consciousness, right? So, for example, things like that Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about, to really find that place within you, that deep place where you can create, where your consciousness has merged with the universal consciousness. And all that is left is space to liberate yourself, space to create. And that
He has a meditation called Space.
The time and space meditation. I love that one. Yes,
me too.
Yes. I'm a big follower of Dr. Joe
Of Dr. Joe Dispenza,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So so it's that state, but usually in the state of nirvana, you don't want to create anymore. So when you reach that state, you're not creating, you're done with your lifetimes. You're basically in a state of liberation. Your soul, again, has gone into full wave, particles and wave. It's basically just dispersed into the universe, and you're free of this whole life and death cycle. So that is the Eastern belief of nirvana.
Okay. What about Sanskrit? I want you to say what Sanskrit is. What does it mean?
What is the meaning of the word Sanskrit?
Yes,
so
just for the people out there.
Right, exactly.
They will know for sure.
What Sanskrit is, right. So Sanskrit is an ancient Indian language, right? So the Vedas are currently the oldest texts out there in the world, the books of knowledge, right? That's what they're called. And they're written in Sanskrit. It's a very scientific language. It's a very phonetic language once you understand how to read it.
But how is it scientific? I've heard that once, but I don't understand how is it scientific.
So where the sounds come from, right? So it's a vibrational language. So for example, Om.
Oh, vibration. Yeah.
Om, right? So Om is actually the sound of the universe, and Om is the Sanskrit word. So whatever the word is has a corresponding sound vibration, which kind of means, or at least you can relate to with that word, right? So even when you have chakras, right? So there's chakra meditation with those hums, with sounds, and all of those are also basically their sound vibrations. When you say the word mantra, mantra is actually usually a Sanskrit verse, and all they're trying to do is create a certain sound vibration to change the electromagnetic field around your body.
Got it.
So that's the.
It's like the Om Mani Padme Hum.
That's what Dr.
But
Chopra.
Om Mani Padme Hum is, I think, more Nepalese. It's but the Om is I think even the hum is from Sanskrit, right? But it's nowadays the way it's pronounced, it's changed a little bit. So if it was in Sanskrit, it would be Om Mani Padme Hum. There is a certain sound because you want to create the right vibration.
When we went to Dr. Deepak Chopra's lecture, he led us into this meditation, and I think he named that Omni Pande. What was he saying? Do you remember? If not, that's okay.
I don't remember actually.
Okay.
I don't remember actually. Yeah.
What would you advise for your meditation, the people out there? What would you advise them to, just so they could kind of, just have one word in mind, so they could start meditating, so nothing else enters their mind? How would you start them with that?
I think just go with Om. Even if you don't do Om, just a hum of And you don't need to say it verbally. You can even just say Om in your mind. And it's okay for thoughts to, come and go, right? Because your mind is an abundant place. You can have room for thoughts, you can have room for preoccupations, and you can still stick with the Om. Or observe your breath, or do both. And completely, I think, not beating yourself up if your mind is going here and there. I think it's the key to meditation. It's the state where you're okay with your mind being a monkey,
okay
but you're
with
still,
even if your mind falters,
and you're
it's
still
okay. Yeah.
Part of it will still be your friend and be on that Om and be on the breath.
What would you say? Let me go back to the anxiety a lot of people are experiencing, and we mentioned it. What would you do and mention today on the program? How to start quieting yourself or your heartbeats and anxiety? How would you, in a simple way, start to kind of, just so your heart doesn't beat as fast as you would like it to? How would you advise them to that? to the audiences?
Absolutely. I think the first thing to do when you're feeling anxious is just write down your feelings, right? There'll always be 2, 3, anxiety or worry about this, or, just not feeling good because I had a bad day at work. Write down those few things, right?
So
Then
journaling?
Journaling,
Or
right?
write it down?
Yes.
But if they're in the middle of a panic attack, let's
Right.
say, would you tell them to deep breathly and, to deep breaths and then vagus nerves?
Right.
You have to kind of,
kind of
manipulate
balance,
it. Yeah,
manipulate.
the vagus nerve.
So-
And I think it's situated about where your TMJ is, and then down, and then right by the neck.
I think it's more to do with the chakras as well, the vagus nerve, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah?
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
for people that may not know of the
Yes,
chakras,
yes.
and they need to heal themselves
Absolutely.
immediately. Like, let's say they're in a
Absolutely.
bus or in anxiety in the car. What would
Right.
they do? Like there's points that you of pressure points, right?
Absolutely.
There's pressure points that you need to learn.
Right.
So you could have that instant, not gratification, but instant healing almost.
Some kind of relief.
Some kind of relief.
Some kind
Thank
of
you for
relief,
that.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So the person could get a little bit. For example, I tell the people that I coach, I say start breathing from your nose, and just out with your mouth, and then with your stomach in and out. And deep breaths that you hold, and then and don't stop. Even if you're in the car, don't just do that. Just do that. And a lot of people say that they were better.
Absolutely. I fully believe that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think it has a lot to do with like the subtleties between the parasympathetic and the
Yes.
sympathetic nervous system.
Yes.
And how that breathing like engages one or the other, or allows one to be more dominant over the other. 'Cause
Yes.
I think you teach something about that too, about how
Right.
the parasympathetic system gets disrupted by foods and things like that.
Right. Right, absolutely. Basically, it's your brain has two parts. There's a part that can get scared, and then there's a part that can think right. And what happens is when you get into panic, they kind of separate. So the thinking right part is not even there. You're this animal part, which is like so scared and nervous, comes alive. So all you got to do is you want to just put them back like this. And anytime you become conscious of your breath and you start deep breathing, your body is like, oh, there's no danger, there's no animal behind you, because if you have the time and the awareness to focus on your breath, you're safe. So you got to make your body feel...
Or even just think about it.
You got to make your body feel mechanically safe
yes.
sometimes. Just grounding your feet, feeling the contact points between where you're sitting and the chair. That, like Maria said, that's great deep breathing.
Deep breathing.
So your body gets a sense of safety.
If you're in a place like an airplane or whatever, bus, or
might be
you're
more difficult,
driving.
yeah.
I saw a lot. When I'm traveling, I see a lot of people are afraid. I used to think I was the only one, but I get a little bit anxious before I board because I want to have everything, up to par. And then right after I sit down, I start praying, a deep breathing, some, punctuation here and there, and I'm okay till arrival.
Yeah.
So, but thinking of, because I did address this show, how to boost your immune system. Can you count some ways that we could do it, and maybe in a simple way, so the people out there could understand
How to boost your immune system.
Yes.
So I'll tell you a few simple things, right? Again, the first thing for your immune system as well, Maria, I would say that staying in that state of safety, feeling compassion, and you can cultivate this feeling of compassion and gratitude the more you practice it, because your body is naturally in a healing mode. It is in a parasympathetic mode, which is that your cells are doing repair instead of doing damage. So it's literally your body is working for you for free when you're in that mode of compassion and gratitude. So you want to make your body work for you for free. Why do you you shouldn't have to work so hard. So you just work on developing that gratitude. 1. 2, I would say, make sure you get good sleep. If you're feeling that you're having a particular period of low immunity, sleep is a time when your body does repair again for free. Take everything you can get for free, and sleep is free time for your body to get into repair mode. So, sleep. Number 3, don't have cold foods. Your digestion, your essential factory is your gut. That's the factory where your body is manufacturing physical health. you don't want to put water in it. It's a warm place. Transformation is
You
happening.
mean cold water or ice water?
Ice water, cold
Yeah.
water, smoothies, shakes, cold
So warm
foods.
water or warm teas, things like that would be
Yes, yes.
Absolutely.
I'm a proponent for that. I really do believe in that. Maybe it was my upbringing. My mom always
You're
served.
so lucky, Maria.
Yes,
So
yes.
lucky, because I'll tell you, just supporting your gut that way, right? They talk about probiotics. What are probiotics? They're bacteria, a kind of good bacteria. Bacteria need a warm place. It's when your warmth in your gut has been damaged. That's when they say your probiotic environment is damaged. So you need that warm environment. Keep it alive on days, especially at times like this, when you feel like your immunity may be compromised for some reason. So if you just sleep, keep yourself in a happy mood, eat warm foods, eat early, don't eat too late. We work with the cycle of the sun.
Yes.
You know, we're
Oh.
diurnal mammals.
Yes.
So we work with the cycle of the
What
sun.
is that again?
Diurnal. We stay up
What
in the
does that mean?
daytime.
Daytime dwellers. Yeah.
Yeah, we're daytime dwellers. We're not owls and bats that stay up at night, right? we function well in the
But
day.
a lot of people are on the internet, and a lot of younger people are going to bed like at 4 a.m.
I'm telling you,
Yeah,
Maria.
a lot of it.
Yeah, a lot of that has to
it.
do, I think, with the light stimulation, right? So,
Oh,
you know,
there you go.
The whole blue light, white light, like it's like simulating sun.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So it keeps that whole system operating.
absolutely.
Operating.
Because your serotonin, you have serotonin instead of melatonin, because your body's like, oh, it's daylight. I can sense light.
So this Ayurvedic healing could work with addictions.
Oh, really well too.
Yes. So let's do another segment on this,
Okay.
the addiction. What do you say, Theo? We only have 3 minutes.
3 minutes, my goodness.
Yeah, yeah.
So time flies on this.
Time
show.
It
flies.
does, and Maria, huh?
I was interested, and you could do this at another segment too. is,
Yes.
You know, the differences between naturally sourced foods versus highly processed or factory foods, and
Factory
how the
foods, yeah.
body, you know, we just think everything is a food, you know, because it comes in the
So
grocery
important.
store.
So important.
And you know, my take on this is that if it didn't come from the ground, a tree, or had legs, you probably shouldn't be eating it. You know, and naturally, I mean.
So true.
You know, if it's in a box, chances are it didn't come from something on 4 legs or 2 legs,
Yeah, yeah.
or a tree.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure you have a
This is
similar.
one of my favorite topics to talk about too. It's one of my favorite topics to talk about.
Yeah. So maybe next time.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe for our next segment, we could talk about you are going to Italy.
I am going to Italy.
And then you are on June.
Yeah, either June or
June.
September. Yeah,
Okay.
we have a retreat. I'm
Okay.
teaching a retreat
So
there.
we could maybe talk about that. You have a retreat?
Yes.
Oh my God, where?
It's in Sardinia.
Okay, so maybe in the next segment, when you join us, we
I would
could talk
love to.
about that and maybe a little bit more about the virus that is going on today. So with this, I would like to say that, you know, we like to take care of ourselves with, you know, name a few things. Okay, where could people get you at? I don't know.
Where you know, I think they can reach out to
Yes.
you, Maria,
Oh, yes,
and then
yes,
they can
yes.
find me through
Please,
that.
yes.
Yeah, my name is Nidhi Pandya. So if you look for me
Nidhi Pandya, and
on,
if you have a question, you could
yes.
certainly definitely contact me on my website. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
and see you for the next segment.
Yes.
And thank you, dear viewers, for joining us. Next, we will have a great, important show for you and your family to enjoy. So until then, goodbye for now, and see you soon.
It all started now. This day's a turning point in my life. The day I begin living my life